This, from The Guardian, is interesting. And also quite amusing at the same time. Because if it's interesting and amusing, it's a double whammy, isn't it? So intelligence report appeared to endorse view. Appeared to endorse view. Left-wing protesters were terrorists. Left-wing protesters were terrorists. I mean, look at them here. Look at these fine-standing people. Do these people look like terrorists to you? Huh? I mean, if you change this placard here to, the ISIS flag, would they look like terrorists? No, of course not. Look at them. That's fine. If you're walking down the street, right, and on one side of the road there's them, and on the other side is 30 white boys in shirts chanting, Millwall, Millwall, Millwall. Which side of the road would you cross to? I'll go with the Millwall lot. So an intelligence report produced for law enforcement agencies in the months before the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, in which a neo-Nazi killed one protester by driving a car into a crowd. That was pretty crazy, wasn't it? Appeared to endorse, was he a neo-Nazi? I don't even know. Appeared to endorse a view that leftist demonstrators were terrorists, at least equally as responsible for street violence as white nationalists, The Guardian can reveal. I haven't seen any evidence of this. I haven't seen hundreds of videos of this kind of thing on YouTube. Never. Well, sorry, The Guardian can reveal. Now the report, Antifa. Anti-Antifa. Violence in the streets. Antifa, anti-Antifa, violence in the streets. Sounds like a rubbish BBC Three documentary. Was produced by the Regional Organised Crime Information Centre, or the snappier, shorter title of Rocic, or Rocic, plays left back for Croatia. In May 2017, it was obtained by a FOIA? What's this? A FOIA request from the not-for-profit transparency group Property of the People. Antifa is the name given to groups of left-wing protesters who confront white nationalists, often violently. I think the problem with Antifa is that they often don't confront white nationalists. They're just pricks to everybody. Experts say the report mischaracterizes the dynamics of the street violence that was emerging at the time and is mistaken in characterizing white nationalist groups as anti-Antifa, suggesting they act in opposition to left-wing groups or out of a sense of anarchism rather than having their own political and violent agenda. Rocic is one of the 6 regional intelligence sharing system centers throughout the country. RIS, so many of these, Rocic, RIS, FOIA. It's a federally funded program designed to share intelligence between federal, state, and local agencies. Rocic serves 14 southern states, including Virginia, the site of the 2017 Unite the Right rally. Documents accompanying the FOIA request indicate that the U.S. Secret Service, are you bored yet? I am. Was among the agencies that report. Okay, can we get to it? The report frames political street violence in America as an evenly poised battle between Antifas, described as an alliance between anarchists and communists, to confront and defeat fascists and white supremacists by whatever means necessary. And anti-Antifa, a loose collection of white supremacists, neo-Nazis, white nationalists, Ku Klux Klan members, white identity groups, and a group called the Alt-Right. The report blames the two sides equally for the violence continuing. So it's the anarchists versus the nationalists, the communists versus the Nazis, the left-wing extremists versus the right-wing extremists, and confrontations are becoming more violent and destructive. Michael German, a former FBI agent who infiltrated far-right groups in the 1990s and a fellow at the Brennan Center for Justice, said the report's framing was wrong. Somehow they have this set up almost like Antifa is the antagonist, and anti-Antifa has developed to resist it. He said what it seems to do is completely whitewash the history of white supremacist violence in this country. It's a whitewash. You know the whitewash? You can buy a lot of whitewash out here. It's just loads of whitewash, like, you can buy it. It's really hard. Do you know how hard it is to go into a convenience store here and try and buy some fucking face scrub that hasn't got bleach in it, whitening? It's insane. Everything's got whitening in it. There's more whitening in the face cream than there is in the fucking toothpaste. I mean, this could do with some whitening. I think I might buy some fucking, whitewasher, just put it on my fucking teeth. Get some, L'Oreal. Even L'Oreal has got white in it, whitewash. Put some of that skin bleaching whitewash in your teeth. It tastes disgusting, probably sick, but, no pain, no gain. Germans said that framing it this way belies the way in which far-right groups use these public spectacles as the method to incite violence, and they come knowing that it will attract protest groups from the community. Such groups internationally go to places to provoke protesters to come out. They got armed for a real street fight, Jonas said. The report also reproduces an opinion piece by Republican National Committee member Sean Steele on clash at UC Berkeley in February 2017, first published in the conservative Washington Times. The excerpted text reads, "The mob of Antifa terrorists that violently attacked the student union were as much declaring war on the ideology of the man for whom the building is named, Martin Luther King, and its citizens. America's left was sending a message of violence is the answer." The report takes the description of anti-fascists as terrorists as face value, something many experts disagree with. This goes on and on, doesn't it? The report makes further assertion that the relationship between the groups that experts say are unsupported by facts. At one point, the report says the Antifa can be considered left-wing anarchism and the anti-Antifa can be considered right-wing anarchism. That's ludicrous. Most of these right-wing groups are not opposed to the state as a form of social organisation. Many of them are fascists of some sort or another and believe in a strong state. Right. Shane Burley, the author of Fascism Today. It's a nice read. What it is and how to fight it, agreed, saying that the idea that it's right-wing anarchists, that's not a phenomenon. That's not a thing that actually exists. Well, I'll put it to you. People's interpretation of what anarchy means is kind of subjective. Anarchism in itself, obviously, is anarchism. But, where you've heard the term used, it's absolute anarchy. Anarchic humour. Anarchy in the UK. It's not necessarily meaning they want an anarchist society. Maybe they're just anarchists because that's how you describe people. Maybe it's just a descriptive term, and that's what they're using to throw shade at it, isn't it? They're throwing shade at the report just because of because of a use of the terminology that might be subjective. Well done for that. The report is heavily redacted, but spends much of its unredacted length discussing alleged anti-fascist violence and sometimes implicitly blames these groups for violence visited upon them. At one point, it focuses in particular on the event in Sacramento in June 2016, which led the FBI to open a controversial investigation on a left-wing group. Well, if they're going around with bike logs and beating people in the streets, which is quite a lot of stuff, you hear more about Antifa violence than you do about right-wing protest violence. In general, if you could just troll the internet, maybe not in mainstream media, but it's a thing. So, does this ever get to any sort of So, Gray criticised the thinness of the report, sourcing there's a wealth of literature out there about the nature of far-right politics in Europe and the United States. It just sounds like someone got tasked with Googling this. That's what he says. I mean, there's not a lot in here, is it? There's a lot of words, but it's just... What's the point? So, look... seems to endorse the view that left-wing protesters were terrorists. Well, just look at the definition of terrorism. There's so many people out there who go, yeah, well, look at the definition of terrorism, look at the government of terrorists. It's like, yeah, But look at the definition of terrorism, and you can look at Antifa and go, yeah, they're terrorists. It's in the definition, isn't it? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, one man's freedom fighter, one man's protester is another man's terrorist at the end of the fucking day. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you want from me? These definitions. These are definitions. I mean, I just call them knobheads, but, you know, that's me. But you can't, you know, can't really have a serious report that says knobheads, Antifa, dick wipes. You know, I mean, that's the thing. If you look at the report, even in that article I read, look it up, one of my clip videos, about the level of like what is considered terrorism across Europe. Like, left-wing terrorism is way higher than fucking far-right terrorism. It's like, number one is separatist, then Islamic, or is it Islamic, then separatist, then left-wing, and right at the bottom is far-right. It was like five incidents, and left-wing terrorism was like 22. That's quite a gap. That's quite the gap. 5. Jeez, I've probably committed more acts of terrorism than that in the last week. You know, I was just joking around. Obviously, I'm not committing terrorism, am I? But you know what I mean? I've probably committed more crimes than that in the last fucking year. You know, I'm just criminal-minded. I just can't help myself, can I? You know what I'm saying? So, if you're going to quibble, it's all out there. You're labelled as terrorist. For a faction of people that go around accusing everyone else of being this, that, and the other, you really don't like it when you start getting accused of stuff. I mean, it's quite pathetic. You know what I mean? It's just this whole, you know, this whole, like, if you want to, you know, you're going to band around terms, say, oh, well, don't call us that. Don't be calling them terrorists. It's like, well, you fucking, yeah, who the hell's this? And you've acted like it, you know what I mean? Like, that's the way it goes. They're accusing. They're saying, they're framing it that you're fucking terrorists because you act in a terrorist-type manner. All right? Get over it. So the Guardian probably fucking, you know, spitting feathers over it, going, no, we're not terror. Leave Antifa alone. They're so bad. They're doing something good. Yeah. Come with it. They're LARPers. They're a bunch of violent LARPers. Do you know what I mean? They should be out reenacting the Battle of Agincourt or something with the rest of them. Fucking idiots. You know. People are people. What did they say? I'm doing things and Antifa wanker.